middle of this week.
All right, Peter, thank you so much. And before we get to Ayman in Beirut, let's find out where the Senate and House stand on U.S. airstrikes in Syria. To do that, I'm joined by Senator Bernie Sanders. Senator Sanders, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
Sir, you released a statement last Wednesday and that expressed serious reservations about airstrikes in Syria. Has your opinion changed at all since then?
No. The calls that are coming into my office are overwhelmingly against getting involved in a bloody and complicated civil war in Syria. The American people are profoundly disgusted with the fact that the United States Congress continues to ignore the enormously serious problems facing the middle class of this country. Real unemployment close to 14%, youth unemployment even higher than that, poverty at an almost all-time high. What the American people are saying is, we were in war in Afghanistan, we're in a war in Iraq, we've lost thousands of soldiers, we've spent trillions of dollars. How about coming home and addressing the crisis facing the American people? Everybody understands that Assad is a horrendous dictator, and the use of chemical weapons is beyond words. It is totally disgusting. What we need is the world community to come together to address that issue, other issues in the Middle East. But the American people are saying 2 wars are enough. Let's come home and address our serious problems.
Do you think, sir, that after seeing the videos that we've been showing of the use of chemical weapons, what certainly appears to be that on his own people, do you think that if the international community comes together, that will quell the opposition from what sounds like from you and from your constituents? I mean, is it all about going in with others that you would support, or not even that?
Well, what it is, and let's be clear, if you followed the resolution that came out of the Foreign Relations Committee, they're not talking about a surgical strike. They're not talking about a one-day war. They're talking about, quote-unquote, changing the momentum on the ground. What they're really talking about is regime change, about bringing democracy to an undemocratic country.
But, sir, may I interrupt? Because I believe, sir, that I have heard time and time again from Secretary Kerry, from the President himself, that all we are talking about right now are these surgical strikes. And you're admonishing me. But
no, I'm not admonishing you.
I mean,
that is what the president is talking about. Read the resolution that was passed by the Foreign Relations Committee. Talk to Senator John McCain and many others. It is very clear they are into regime change. And by the way, if you hear real serious discussion, what people are saying, this is a prelude to a war in Iran. This is really the start. We've got to show the Syrians we're tough, because we may have to go into Iran later on.
And this was
the
John
American
McCain
people
who added that line, saying he would refuse to vote for this resolution without that. That's John McCain.
Yeah, John McCain has said he doesn't want boots on the ground, but read the resolution that he supported, changing the momentum. That means, this is what it means. It means supplying significant amounts of military aid to the opposition. By the way, 20 to 25% of which are Islamic extremists, some of whom are affiliated with al-Qaeda. Now, what happens if, by the way, they end up toppling Assad? You're going to have a chaotic situation there as well. Who's going to come to the rescue? So, you know, the American people were told certain things about Iraq weren't true, told things about Afghanistan. 11 years later, we are still there. All that I'm saying is chemical weapons and Assad, bad news. Let's work with the world community, do everything we can to control that situation. But you know what? The middle class of this country is collapsing. Congress has a 15% favorability rating, because day after day they find the Congress all over the place, dealing with all kinds of issues except the issues that impact them, their kids, and their parents. So I think if we want a crisis, we want to deal with crises, let's deal with unemployment, let's deal with health care, let's deal with education. We got enough on our own hands right now. Let's deal with the world community, not act single-handedly as the policemen of the world.
Well, there certainly can be no arguing with the multiple issues we have here of a very serious nature here at home. May I ask you what you need to hear from the president, if anything, sir, that would make you support the strikes on Tuesday night? Not the strikes Tuesday, rather hear from him Tuesday.
I need to hear from the president that we are working with the entire world community on this issue. I need to hear from the president that he thinks that unemployment and low wages and global warming in the United States are also important issues that have to be addressed. Because I worry, You know, the United States Congress has a hard time walking and chewing bubblegum. It's very hard to do two things at the same time. I want to hear from the president that we're going to move forward and take care of the major problems facing the middle class of this country and work with the entire global community in addressing the problems in the Middle East and in Syria.
I would sure appreciate it if you could tell me that there were some good options with regard to Syria. Do you see any, sir?
Look, this is a very, very difficult situation. It's always easy to beat up on the president. He has an impossibly difficult job. All that I'm saying is the American people are saying, you know, we were told that Afghanistan was going to be easy. 11 years later, we're still in there. Iraq, mission accomplished. It was not accomplished. And people are very, very weary about getting involved in a third civil war in the Middle East.
Senator Bernie Sanders, I'll welcome you back on the show anytime. We'll look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go from there to Lebanon. Hundreds of people rallied outside the United Nations compound in Beirut.